Joining me now is State Representative Ron Marsico, the 105th Legislative District in Dauphin County. Thank you, Representative Marsico, for being with us. You are the illustrious Republican chair of the House Judiciary Committee, and you are the expert, so to speak, on some crime of public safety issues of concern to State House Republicans. I understand there's a slew of bills on tap for the fall session. We won't be able to get into the nitty-gritty of each and every one of them here, but let's talk about increased police enforcement, toughening Megan's Law. What are some of these bills of concern that you want to see pushed to the forefront of the House agenda?
Well, there are a number of bills that will be hopefully considered by the Judiciary Committee this fall and then by the full House. Before we go into those bills, I'd like to just mention that I am very disappointed in the fact that the most recent budget that was enacted by the General Assembly and signed by the governor, proposed by the governor, was public safety areas were completely underfunded. Critical law enforcement agencies were not funded the way that they had been actually in the past. They've been shortchanged, and that would be the Weed and Seed program of the governor's office, a very effective long-time program. The Safe Neighborhoods program cuts into the Attorney General's office and cuts into the state police, cuts into the gun check program. So across the board, which is absolutely astonishing with the rise in crime that we've had, the rise in drug use, the rise in murders, the rise in gun murders across Pennsylvania, that lo and behold, the governor and the General Assembly underfunded critical law enforcement agencies.
And I think maybe we need to mention that Speaker Emeritus John Prezell of Philadelphia has reintroduced his legislation that was introduced last session to get 10,000 more police officers on Pennsylvania streets, not just in Philadelphia, all around Pennsylvania over the next 4 years. And I'm sure you agree that this is an excellent measure.
It is a very good measure. Having the crime seminars in the past, law enforcement experts have told us that a key in controlling crime is more police. We need more police throughout the Commonwealth, more local as well as more state police.
Also, some other bills coming up would toughen Megan's Law to protect our children and our citizens from sexual predators. I understand Pennsylvania already has some really good state enforcements on keeping the Megan's Law registry up to date. There's also school safety issues, an array of bills to come out to anyone, a perpetrator who threatens a bomb threat or any terroristic act of violence in a school. That person would be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. You'll have to keep us posted throughout the fall session. And is there anything that the average citizen in Pennsylvania can do to maybe help spur along the passage of these legislative bills?
Well, obviously, the best thing to do is contact your House of Representatives and also the Senate of Pennsylvania. Your members in those two bodies. Make sure that you tell them how you feel about certain issues. And you know, this whole key for the fall is to focus on legislation that's going to keep our Commonwealth and our communities safe.
I want to thank you very much, Representative Ron Marsico of the 105th Legislative District in Dauphin County and chair of the House Republican Judiciary Committee. Thank you for sharing your views with us here on State House Perspectives. In my next segment, you'll hear more about the Crime and Public Safety Initiative underway by State House Republicans from a former police officer who is now a state representative. Representative Mike Vereb of the 150th District in Montgomery County, thank you for being with us for this segment of State House Perspectives.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
It's your first term in office, and you are indeed a former police officer yourself, so you are certainly a perfect individual to talk to us about some of the crime and public safety initiatives underway. Where were you a police officer? I'm assuming Montgomery County?
That's correct. I was down in West Conshohocken Police Department, which is in the eastern Montgomery County section.
And you can tout one of your first successes in office. You had a bill that passed this summer. It was if you want to tell us about that. I believe it was a Senate bill with a House amendment. It was indeed signed into law, and it was on an issue very close to you as a former police officer.
I introduced it as House Bill 694, but we ultimately passed the legislation as an amendment to a Senate Bill 116. And that legislation that was signed into law by the governor has a direct impact on the statute of limitations when you commit the act of aggravated assault against a police officer. And this law that's now in effect removed the statute of limitations when a subject commits such a heinous act against a police officer, to where now that they cannot hide. Time is not on the criminal side.
You recently attended the first session of the so-called Speakers Symposium on Crime and Violence. That is a new initiative underway. If you want to tell us about it, I do believe it is a bipartisan effort, is it not?
It's clearly bipartisan. The speaker over the summer during budget talks, when the floor was open to personal privilege, a number of representatives from the Philadelphia caucus had brought up the slaughter mill that's going on in Philadelphia with the homicide rate. And in conversations with the speaker, both on the open floor as well in his office, he has a passion to address crime, not as a Republican, but as Speaker of the House, and he has encouraged, and we will embrace every member we can to participate in a crime package that we hope to introduce in this part of the session.
Now, I understand, are there different teams or different areas on which the symposium will be focusing?
You have drug and alcohol section, you have a crime section. There's certainly an economic section, and then a community outreach section. All, we feel, play a part in the lack thereof structure in communities, which therefore disintegrate communities into the crime-ridden trials that go on, such as Philadelphia. We feel that certainly drug and alcohol rehab, that's number one. Every county, every district, every legislator deals with this issue with their constituency, because obviously drugs and alcohol are a crisis. Certainly crime, we know the effects of crime, whether they're guns or some other type of felonies that take place. Community outreach, what can we do in our community to get our message out, to make folks aware that are suffering from a drug or alcohol problem? Where can they go? Where can we best grab onto the opportunities of our youth before they end up in prison or before they end up in the backseat of a drug dealer's car? And certainly economics. We want to make sure that communities have every opportunity to economically thrive, so that in the long run there are jobs, no matter how small or large the jobs are, there are opportunities there for our youth and our citizens to have the opportunity to have a job and be employed.
Will there be some legislation coming out of these gatherings?
The idea here, in speaking with Speaker O'Brien, is to put the full package together that will collaterally solve the crisis, not just one gun a month law that we've heard of, or some other laws that might be popular in one district or one particular area of the state, but looking at the four corners of the state, all the issues. And we feel we've identified a larger number of issues that have an impact on crime and crime statistics, as we're seeing, unfortunately, in Philadelphia. But we feel that if we don't address all areas of the crime problems, then your drug or alcohol rehab can suffer, their programs can suffer. So the package will include all the areas that we're talking about.
And I'm sure in the future we'll have you back to find out more about the progress of this symposium. And on another topic, let's take a look at a few video clips from last February's major ice storm. Wow, what a mess. Pennsylvania made national headlines, and not of the good news type. And Representative Vereb, you are also a member of the Veterans Affairs and Emergency Preparedness Committee, and you are co-sponsoring a bill that would hopefully eliminate future catastrophic weather incidents that tied up 3 of our interstates last February.
It was a very embarrassing moment for our Commonwealth, and there were a number of hearings, bipartisan hearings held. And Representative Russ Fairchild has introduced, he's the chairman, Republican chairman of our Veterans Emergency Preparedness Committee. He's introduced a bill which will, we feel, help communicate to our constituency that are on the roads and that are going through these situations, these ice storms, whether they're any type of severe weather, whether it's rain or snow, give us the ability to immediately communicate with the traveling or the public that are at home during some type of a natural disaster or some major storm such as the one that occurred.
Representative Mike Vereb of the 150th District in Montgomery County, thank you very much for sharing your time and comments with us here on State House Perspectives.
Thank you.